The doctor is in, and this is our love show. You know, we usually do this show around Valentine's Day. We're a little early this year, and we like to feature couples. And you know, like love and basketball, this is love and breast cancer. And it's not quite the same thing. We don't have Sine Lathan, and we don't really have any sex on them on the video, but we're going to talk about all of it. And I love how you guys are some of my favorite people, you know that. And Jermaine is flying solo. We may have his wife here, but she's busy. So, but
Yeah.
But he's one of my favorite girl dads in the world, and I think he has a great story to tell. So you guys, let's start. And some of you guys know each other, some of you don't. So why don't we start with introductions? And Val, you go first because you've done this before. It's a piece of cake to you.
I am Valerie Blackwell Howard, and this is my husband, Curtis Howard. We have been married for 37 years, 38 come July. I am a triple negative stage 2 breast cancer survivor. And guess what? I just made 7 years. So I am happy to be here tonight, and welcome to each and every one of you guys.
Wow, 7 years. I forgot it was your life-versary.
That's right.
Party after the party. All right, Jermaine, who are you?
Hi, my name is Jermaine Johnson. I am the husband of Latoya Bowes Johnson, who is a triple negative breast cancer survivor, triple negative stage 3B, 3C.
Yeah, 3C.
3C, yeah. We've been married going to be 13 years in October. And she's an amazing thriver and survivor. She's out there now, not, out there just living right now. Amen. So hopefully she'll be able to join us here shortly.
Yeah. And they have 3 beautiful babies.
Beautiful babies.
And
yeah, with 3 girls.
Yeah. How old are they?
5, 7, and 9. 5, 7, and 9. Journey will be 8 next week, actually.
I know, it's her birthday, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I heard she's going to New York to see the Lion King, right?
Yes.
These little girls are world travelers. Yeah. And what do you want to do for whatever? Oh, we're going to Orlando.
Yeah. No more little birthday parties in the basement. They just want to go to their plane.
Get on a plane. But Latoya also got diagnosed after she was breastfeeding.
Sugar, Jolie, yeah. Yeah, she was misdiagnosed. Actually, she was they initially told her it was a galactocele. But thank God, one of the techs, one of the guys that did the overview saw that the margins were a little suspicious, and ordered her to come back in, and they tried to aspirate it. Then we did further testing and found out that it was triple negative breast cancer.
Thank God you did that.
Absolutely.
Thank God, right?
Absolutely.
Robin and Sid, it's so great to see you. It's been a long time since Mo's Farm.
Yes. My name is Robin, and this is my husband, Sid. In 2008, I was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer that had metastasized to my liver, and not given a great prognosis, a couple months to live. And what I will say is that my husband refused to accept anything else. And so, although being metastatic, I will always have it. But I think now it's been about 16 years since I was diagnosed. And as a result, I have worked very hard to teach other women, how do we survive? How do we support our wellness? And what are some things that could help other women? Sid and I have been married 46 years.
Amen.
And we just celebrated our second marriage in Malta in July. And what I will say is I would not have been able to survive without him. Since the day that I have had cancer to today, he has never missed an appointment, and that was through years of chemo, daily radiation for a year and a half, all kinds of follow-ups and operations, and he has never missed an appointment, and is always there with questions and follow-up, and even when I give up, he refuses to give up. So that's a little bit about us.
Amen.
Amen. Love it.
You want to talk? You want to talk?
That's it.
No, I mean, I just want to say that I believe it was my job to be the advocate that I am, because I mean, when she initially got diagnosed, the doctor wasn't very nice, and he actually told me that you need to go home and get her affairs in order. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. You know,
Not on my watch, right?
yeah, right. So when she walked out, Robin was all distraught, and I told her, no worries, because you know, God has this. You know what I'm saying? You'll be
That's
fine.
right. That's right.
And everything actually fell into place after that, and we never seen that doctor again. So it's a good thing.
Hello.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what it also reminded me of, and especially if you get a diagnosis that you don't understand or it's not good, get a second opinion. See somebody else. And it was so funny because when we looked at getting a second opinion, and it was one of the top doctors in Philadelphia, but he only took cash. And so I told my
cash?
oh my
Really?
cash. Only took cash. Dr. Thomas Frazier.
He was from California, though.
Yeah, initially, but he was the best. He was at the end of his career. I later learned that he only took cash because he treated all senior citizens for free. He was up on the main line in one of the $1 million offices, and I told my husband, we can't afford this. And he said, listen, we can't afford not to. He said, we can get the money back. We can't get you back, you know? And
Amen.
so you have to have somebody, and because when you get diagnosed like that, you start thinking crazy, you start giving up, and you really need an advocate that's in your ear, pumping you up. No, we can do this. No, it's going to be all right. And I think that gave me the courage to push and survive as long as I have.
So what he did there was Dr. Frazier, he did a consultation, and because of the consultation that he did, and he told Robin, if you can find a doctor that agrees with me, then this is what you should do. And that actually fell into place, and she wound up with one of I guess the premier doctors in the country, who just passed away not long ago, Dr. Edith Mitchell. I don't know if you knew her.
Yeah, everybody knew Mitchell.
We knew her, and I was with her just a couple months before she died, and she was amazing. She was a mentor. But we were at this breast cancer conference, and they were having we were in Houston, and so it was like the third night of Mexican food in the hotel, and so she's like, Ricky, we need to go get a steak, girl. And so Liv was like, come with me, and we went out. And we went to there was a steakhouse in the hotel. I think it was a Hyatt. So we went to the steakhouse. We're sitting in the steakhouse eating our filet mignon with Béarnaise sauce and all the stuff. And she ordered, chocolate cake, this huge dinner. And then people kind of were walking by us. And by the end of the night, there were 30 people sitting at the table with us. And she was buying a steak.
Wow.
Crap. So, the hotel for the third day, but she's a badass. She was a trailblazer in this work. So, yeah. So Candace and David.
Well, hello, I am Candace Edwards, and that's my hubby over there. We are not in the same space right now, so you may also hear my 4-year-old in the background. He wants to participate. That's Isaiah. And I was diagnosed with stage 2B breast cancer in 2022 after we had lost our second child. It was about a month after our miscarriage at almost 20 weeks pregnant. So to say 2022 was not a fun year, but one that really, we've been married for almost 8 years. So I feel like we have a lot to learn. I'm so excited to be around so many couples that have been here for a long time, but I couldn't have gotten through my journey without David. I went through a cold capping process to try to save my hair and do all the things. And only because of him, every single day, like you said, he didn't miss an appointment. He advocated for me when I couldn't advocate for myself. So I was so excited to be able to do this. You know, Ricky, thank you so much for even asking us to be here because, like I said, when I think of my breast cancer journey and I think of how I got through it, I think of David and the support that he provided. So I am now almost 3 years, cancer free.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
You
And
know,
we'll
looking
talk
at
about your book in a little bit. Hey, Toya.
Hey,
Hi there.
Toya.
Hi, good evening. Sorry, I was delayed.
Hey, baby.
Working.
How are you? How
Working.
are you? I had to work. Yeah, I'm so sorry
Yes.
about that.
I love how these working couples are in I love it. It's our life, right, right, right. So Toya, your hubby gave a great intro, but go for it. Introduce yourself. Oh, wait. Let David talk. David, you want to talk?
Okay.
Got a lot to say, but I'm gonna hold it for as we get further in.
Right. Okay, Toya, my girlie.
Well, I'm Jermaine's wife, Latoya. Stage 3C, triple negative breast cancer survivor here. Been out of treatment. It'll be 2 years in April. It'll be 2 years in April. And just had my breast reconstruction about a month ago, but thriving and moving forward and just grateful to God just to be here, be alive and living in his purpose.
Right.
I think it's so beautiful just to see so many couples, men just being beside their wife's side going through this journey, because oftentimes going through breast cancer, there's a lot of time that couples split up during this time because of the stress that's associated with having breast cancer. And to see all these strong men that carry their wives through this journey, they wasn't just by their side, they was carrying them, as my husband was with me. So it's just great to see. And I like to see that it's different ages, different gaps between how long we've been married. So it's just amazing.
It's all God. It's all God. I mean, I think that you all are all God's gifts to each other, you know. We lost Toya for a second and she'll be back. But you know, it's a hard journey. And you have no idea how many stories we hear that are the opposite of this.
Yeah.
That my husband left me, we've done shows, you know, or we couldn't get together, we fell apart after treatment or during treatment. And so, you know, I got divorced, you know, during treatment, you know, I had to realize, you know, and it was my choice, but it was still 30 years of marriage. I had to realize that I had to let all the cancers go, not just the one in my body. But I mean, I didn't have support. So I think that the fact that you guys have support and love and you know, sort of, I think the husbands helped me out with this. You know, we talk to women more than we talk to you guys, but I think you guys sort of found a purpose in this place.
Well, it was, for me, it's just good to see, you know, the husbands and everything, because sometimes during this, even though we're there for our wives and we talk to our wives and everything, you know, we fight it silently because there's basically sometimes no one there that we can talk to. So just to see, you know, all the men that are on here tonight, it's a blessing to me, because I can see that, you know what, that with me and my wife as a man, I wasn't in this alone. I wasn't in this by myself. That there are men out there that are staying with their spouses, because we have to look at it this way. When we took that vow, I'm saying that vow is important.
Correct.
And in the times that we're living in, you know, people take though they don't take the vows that they took seriously.
Right.
We took it for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health. So that's the first thing I thought about. I'm coming because during the time that we were going, we had just moved from New York. We were up here in New Jersey 2 years. And it just so happened that my daughter had blessed us with a trip to Paris for our 30th wedding anniversary. and my wife knew that something was wrong then, but she didn't want to interrupt our trip, so she didn't tell me till after we came back. But even during that time, I was working nights, and my wife, we lived in Jersey, but her doctors were in New York.
2.5 hours away.
So I had to. I was leaving work. I was working security, 12-hour shifts. I was leaving work 6 a.m, parked in front of the house. My wife come out, drive 2 hours to New York, stay there with her and bring her back, and still had to go to work that night. But what I will say, after hearing Robin's story and everything, what I will say is the doctors that helped my wife and helped me were the best that I ever been around. They actually cared. And they worked with us to do everything that they could possibly do to get my wife on her feet. So it was a total blessing. My experience was I dealt with people who were gonna actually help me.
Yeah. And that's remarkable. And I mean, that makes me think about Jermaine, because, and when we first met you all, Val, it was in New Orleans and during when we trial activation. And I think at that time, that's when it really hit me. I was thinking chemo and I was like, okay, like it really hit me how many, partners or how many couples divorce, when their wives or girlfriends or whatnot get sick with breast cancer. And I just really didn't recognize, the separation or the divorce rate was so high when, when we all came together in New Orleans. I was like, wow, and everything that you're saying is resonating, because Jermaine, when I was in treatment as well, I mean, he works nights still. And you guys know we have 3 little ones. And at the time when I was diagnosed, we had a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And Jermaine works nights, and he would get off, and he still has to be a father to the girls and still be a caretaker to them, bringing them to school or daycare or whatnot, and still has to bring me to doctor's appointments and chemo. And he's tired, he's exhausted because he hasn't slept. And then turn around and go back to work that same night. But in between that time, still taking care of the girls. So I applaud you. I really do, because that's a lot on the human body. And even though I was physically going through cancer treatments, like it was I know it was a mental toll on you as well, and physical as well, because you stress from not sleeping and working and having to take care of the household, and so.
And let me ask you this, Latoya. Let me jump in here.
Hey, Dr. Mo. Hey, Dr. Mo.
So I'm excited about this episode, because the question I have for all of you is, were you offered any support, any resources as a caregiver?
Nope.
Did anybody say, here's a book, here's a pamphlet, here's a support group, here's a number, 1-800 number to call, here goes a rosary? Nobody said anything, did they?
No, they you know what, in our instance, they had a social worker speak to my wife and do that. But like I said, sometimes, and I'm not saying all the time, but in our instances, I'm saying I suffered in silence, because there was really no one to speak to. And this is new for me. I'm saying, as a man, we figure that, we can figure everything out when it comes to taking care of our spouses and our family. But this was a whole new episode. I couldn't, I was lost, but I could, even though I was lost in that time, I knew that I had to be there to do what I had to do for my wife. That's all I thought about. So it really didn't matter if I had to work. It really didn't matter how tired I was. Those things didn't matter. As long as she was okay, I was good.
And he was at every doctor appointment, every surgery. He was at the hospital with me. He never missed an appointment, not one appointment.
Because she went through so much. I'm saying, Ricky, remember when Val was given the Courage Award?
Yep. Yeah.
When she was given that Courage Award, my wife was sick as a dog.
She was sick as a
She was
dog.
sick.
She got an award
But
from the
she,
CNBC.
but she went up there, did what she had to do,
Give her
and
speech.
then I bring her back to the hotel room, and I had to cover her with a blanket and everything because she was freezing. Come to find
I'll
out,
move over so we can see her pretty face.
right? Come to find out that she had sepsis.
Right.
Yeah, she
So
was
she was in the
septic too.
hospital another week or a month. She was in the hospital again. It was constant. The chemo, the radiation. She had sepsis, and they had the reconstructed breast surgery. I'm saying it was a lot, but through all that, we're still here, and she's still here.
That's
So
right.
I thank God
Yeah.
for everything because I couldn't have done it without him.
But you'd be surprised when people actually speak over you. Because David and I were laughing because when I started my chemo journey, you know, when Dr. Moyu, when he asked that question, were there resources? We actually had a nurse come up to us and tell us the statistics. Like, why are you here? I'm really surprised said to him. What did she say, David? Like,
Yeah, that's the running joke is that she was going to take me from you because she was very, very surprised to see me there, and she saw so many women would end up in there by
By
themselves,
themselves.
even taking Uber and Lyft to leave the chemotherapy session, and that left me very confused.
Right.
Like, I just expect me to be there. There's no question of if I
Right.
can be
That's
there.
right.
I'm going to be there
Right.
every single appointment. That's just no expectation. That's just no chance that I'm not going to be there at every single appointment.
Wow.
But it's
So-
but the expectation is that they're not supposed to be there. I remember when I was setting up my appointments for radiation, and it was like, well, what time do you want to come for the next year? And I said, well, let me check with my husband. And the woman busted out laughing, and she said, sweetheart, she said, let me tell you a little secret.
Wow.
No man is going to come to your radiations every day. He might come to the first one, but he's not going to be coming every day. So you might as well get over it.
Robin, can I ask you, was that expectation because you was an African American, because you was Black? Because oftentimes they don't believe that our husband's going to stick with us anyway. So when we walk into the office and our husband are on our side, caring for us, carrying us, they don't expect to see this. But if it was a Caucasian person, they would expect it. So I think it's also the expectation of us being African American women.
Oh, absolutely, because it's a lot of white
Yeah.
couples where the man doesn't show up, but it's the expectation that if they do show up, they will be the white men and not Black men. You know what I'm saying? And so, and sometimes they don't even engage them in the whole process.
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all though, because I think there's a lot of fear around employment, right? Because now one of you may be out of employment or on FMLA or something, and the other one is the breadwinner. You know, how did you navigate this in terms of work schedules and things? Because like I said, I think there's a lot of co-survivors, I'm calling, not caregivers, but co-survivors who are grappling with this, and they're afraid about losing their job, missing work, things like that. Any tips or advice for navigating that so that they too can show up for their people?
I was downsized. So I worked in the banking industry for 30 years. So it happened to be like a year before I got breast cancer. My job was downsized. So I was at home taking care of my grandson. My husband just 2 years or 3 years beforehand, he retired from correction.
5 years.
5 years. So he already retired. So he just went back for the extra income. That's why he was working the security job, because I got cancer. We needed the extra income in the house. So that's what he just, you want to take
because
over?
when I retired, I had been retired about 5 or 7 years by the time my wife got diagnosed. And I was working part-time because I knew that I was going to have to go back to work because I was only 51 years old when I retired. So, but then when they downsized my wife's position, I had to go back full-time because we couldn't survive on just my pension at the time and me working part-time. So I had to go back to work full-time. But scheduling wise, it didn't bother my schedule.
We had Debbie.
Well, I had my sister-in-law that helped me also, when she saw that I was about shop, she stepped in and helped me out. But work wise and everything, it really didn't matter. I still had to go to work. I still had to provide for my family because just like my wife said, till we moved up here, we were empty nesters. We were empty nesters for about 2 months. Because my daughter got called by the New York State Department of Corrections, and she didn't have anybody to take care of Jaden. Jaden been with us since he was 4 years old. He's 12 now.
And he's a rock star.
Yeah, he's 12 now. So I'm saying for me, I really didn't worry about losing my job. I didn't worry about any of that because I know that me being the husband, see, God was going to take care of everything. All I had to do was do what I had to do.
Amen.
That's right.
I didn't worry about any of that, scheduling or anything, because all I knew is I had to be there. You know what? Because it boggles the mind for me sometimes to see that a man would leave his wife when she's most vulnerable.
Right.
I couldn't allow that to happen. We still here. We still going strong. We'll be married 38 years in July. And I'm looking forward to a whole lot many more years if God.
We could catch up with Robin and Sid over there.
No, we're not gonna catch them. We'll be behind them. We won't catch them.
They'll be your role model. They'll be your role
Role model, absolutely.
They'll be dancing. They'll be dancing.
Right?
Yes.
They will always be dancing with the breast.
To your point, for me, it's always been God, family, then me, then everybody else.
There you go.
Whatever happened, when I tell my employer, this is just the way it was going to be. You know. Now, thankfully, we were blessed enough that we took advantage of COVID and all of that was going on. So there was a lot of work from home and stuff like that. So that thankfully worked out for us. But we still had a child, so we had to schedule to go to chemo, and then the what was it called? The penguins, the cold capping that we had to do all day. So it was a lot, but scheduling, I would just say for everyone else, for practicality, you got to schedule your day because they can get away from you. But as far as my employer, it was just kind of, hey, this is what it is. I'm gonna take advantage of the personal leave if I need it. But thankfully, we were able to work from home and just make it work.
And what was the most important part for me was him being there early on when I was getting the plan together. Because while I think most of us on here are so blessed that our husbands were able to come and be there and they made it a priority, I was one who was making up stories in my mind. I don't know about the other one, about like I heard the doctor saying one thing and having him being rational when I could not be rational. So key. So I told him, I said, I don't know what you have to do with your employer, but if you could just be there when I'm hearing about not just prognosis, but like what's the plan, because it was not in the right space.
Exactly.
Process that on my own. So I was just so grateful that he took the time. And what he told me was, we're going through this from the beginning. He said, this is not, yes, you are the one who may have to physically, he said, but we're in this 100% together. If we're fasting together. If you're eating this diet, I'm eating this diet. So something about that connection early on, like I said, was just so key. But to answer your question, that's why my only prayer is that if you can't get your schedule together for those who are going through this, come early to the early part when you're getting all the progress.
The scariest part. That's the scariest part.
Yeah.
I think when you say that, Candace, the first thing that came into my mind was there's a song that said that's love.
Yes.
And that's all it is. That's love.
Yeah.
We're here talking about Valentine's Day, and the whole thing is that's love.
Yeah.
Because love don't separate, it brings you together.
Because you talk about it on your wedding day. You say, for better or worse, in sickness and in health, but we don't know what that's going to look like. We come from all the happiness, the sunshine and the rainbow. And I can't speak for David, but we thought our bad thing was the baby being gone. We was losing our child. And to have that on top of it, you can understand it being too. I was expecting and told him, if it's too much, I would understand.
Right.
And I was just, I wanted to give him that out. I felt this reason, this desire to give him an out. And he just kind of didn't listen to me. So
I don't know what that means.
I believe that
Praise God.
wrapped up in this thing called love, right, is the innate ability to want to take care of,
yeah.
right? Whether we're talking about in this case, our wives or our children. Once you have that genuine love, inside of that is just something that clicks on. I got to do this, regardless of what we go through, because we had to play 3-car Molly with some stuff around here for 2 years, but we here, right? By the grace of God, we here. We just go and we just do, right? And like Curtis said, as men, we just looking at Curtis, and when I first met him, there's an unspoken understanding of the journey. And then when you talk, as caregivers, right? And then when you talk, you're like, man, he's going through the same thing that I went through, and that in a weird type of way that brings comfort.
Right.
In a weird type of way.
No one wants to go through this journey alone. You know what I mean? So it's an amazing thing to be in love. And I question those that have left. There's no way. I mean, that wasn't even sometimes
there wasn't a thought in our mind.
That's not even so like it doesn't get to my mind to go where. We ain't going nowhere but to the doctor. That's all we going. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's
I also
But
think that
even-
Jermaine made an excellent point when he said that they played Molly. I think that if you come together at the beginning of the process, okay, I've been diagnosed. What are some things that we need to rearrange in our household?
Yeah.
What is our finances like? What are some things that we used to be doing that we may cut out to put into another pot until we figure out the things that we have to do? What is my job saying about the time that I can take off, and how can we manage that? How can we find one of your friends or family to supplement when I can't actually be there physically? But sitting up front, making a plan, looking at what the finances are, looking at what your job situation is, and then moving from there. Because I found a lot of people, they jump into the process, and like a quarter way through the process, they're like, oh my God, and oh, my job and my finances. No, figure that stuff out at the beginning. What is it we're gonna need, and how can we manage this?
Absolutely.
And tap into those resources that's available, because I mean, you can call your mortgage company, I'm sick right now, and hold your they have to put your mortgage on hold for 3 months, and you got to just pay the necessities, the utilities, to keep the kids fed, and if there's food banks, or there's like Unite for Her, like they sent me a box of fresh fruits and vegetables every week, just those little small things. And so those things, they come into place just so you don't have to have that stress as well about the finances, because 100% of your healing, 100% of your energy is just trying to be in a positive mode to heal. And you don't want to be worried about, if the lights are going to be cut off or whatnot, but God always provides. And I will say this too, just with little kids, just a point like initially, like with people sending us, there were some friends that sent us meals and things like that. I can't tell you how helpful that was, just not to worry about having to feed the kids when you get home after chemo. I'm tired, Jermaine's tired, but he has to go back to work. So having a pan of lasagna for the kids for that evening, that's like the best thing ever. Or if somebody has small kids, hey, do you need me to do their hair for the week or something like that? Like those little things, they're
I
huge
love that
blessings.
you brought that up, Toya, because people often don't know how to help, and they just say, you need me to do anything, and you may not be thinking of what it is that you need. But when we pick specific ways to offer and to help, right? Not even just offer, but to show up, like you said, Ricky. Don't even ask in terms of, or maybe as a couple thinking about the things that you need, and then letting people pick from that list the things that they can do. right? But sometimes it's that vague sort of open-ended, oh, let me know if you need anything. Nobody will ever call you. But if you
No,
say,
I
hey, let me
feel
take the kids for a
Right.
couple hours,
Right.
or you
Like,
know
Right.
what, we're gonna do a sleepover so y'all can have a weekend off,
Right.
right? Or you
Mhm.
know what, I'm on hair duty, or I'm on meals, or I'm on pickup duty. Those are the
Mhm.
types of things that I think can really help.
Because
Right.
to
And
Yeah.
You know what?
also
But
the worst
even,
thing.
with you saying that, Dr. Mo, because I can remember conversations with my brother. My brother used to call me to check on me and everything, and then he would end the conversation saying, "Well, if you need me, you know I'm
Mm.
just a phone call away." Pop, stop saying if I need you.
Right.
I
You
need
know
you.
Yeah.
I need you.
You
You
know I
know I
mean.
need you. Stop
Right.
saying just do what you're going
Just
to do.
you gotta
Stop
do
saying
it.
if
Gotta
I
do
need
it.
you.
Right.
But you have to
Dr.
also
Mo,
think that even like when me and my husband, at the time when I was diagnosed with cancer, it was three of us with cancer. His mother was already diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. So he had to deal with his mother metastatic. His wife was stage 2B, and then his brother had prostate cancer. So it was a lot of emotions on his
Mhm.
end, because here you go, the two most important women in your life, your mother, your wife, and then you have a brother. And how do you deal with everybody going through this disease at one time?
Dr.
Right.
Mo, I think you had an excellent question. What are we doing for the male caregivers?
Yeah.
And I think that, first of all, hearing the stories today and how the men are inspiring each other and giving them this opportunity to talk and really refresh their spirit around what they are doing. And I think it would really be amazing if you had a male caregivers day up at the farm where they could have seminars on how to be supportive.
That'll
They
be
could
great.
also renew their spirit after, because it could suck everything out of you, caring for somebody else, where they could go up to the farm and go fishing and talk to other guys who are going through it, or talk to other guys who are just getting into the process and really don't know how to do it. So I think that would be excellent.
That's
I
why
think
I was
Yeah.
really
great
excited to
idea.
find an organization. We found one called Caring On that was able to
Yeah.
because it was
We know
honoring
them.
caregivers, and I was able to
We had
apply.
them on the show. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I was able
remember
to,
that.
I was
Yeah.
able to apply for David to get, I asked him what he wanted in true man fashion. I don't need anything. Well, y'all just everything I appreciate it, but I want to do something. And whether we got to go to a dinner, or he got a massage, or he just got a day to go fishing or do whatever he needed to do. But you do feel an overwhelming, you just want to say thank you, because just because you do, and that's like, I'm just here, especially as a patient, feel the weight of people stepping in for you. And it's like you said, whether it is being highlighted on the show here, but also finding just ways to say, take a day, do something.
Yeah.
But
I think the one thing that one of the things that admires me about Jermaine is that Jermaine has embraced the Blessy world. So, he models in the Blessy fashion show with me, but I mean, I think that, right? I think Jermaine, like, you sought me out. When Latoya, like, sort of introduced us, I mean, you're like, okay, well, Ricky, what have you got what have you got? Like, and I felt like you sort of just joined in with the Blessy world with us to see what's available and how we could help you. And like, I just, when was it when you had an MRI that time, and you said you need to come over here. But I went up to the house at 6:30 in the morning, was in the kitchen making lunches, cooking breakfast. Toy was upstairs primping.
I mean,
the
the worst
girl,
thing, the worst thing you can do is
get
nothing,
your
right?
thing, get the lunch, do the thing,
Wait,
like,
wait.
in the hair.
Yeah.
I love it. Did you hear what he just said? Say that again, Jermaine.
I said the worst thing you can do is nothing. So you
We're doing
even
everything.
going back to that financial piece, right? The worst thing you can do is sit around and don't call. Call the mortgage company, call the schools, call the banks, the worst thing you
Call
can do
your
is sit around and
sister-in-law,
do
call your
nothing.
church, somebody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
we
doing
can't
all
afford to do nothing. Yeah. Yeah.
I love
He's
it.
a girl dad all the way with us little
Oh
girls.
yeah, those
Yeah.
are my princesses.
Like,
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and Robin, to your point, challenge accepted, because I think we do need to normalize
Yes.
having these conversations. We need to
Mhm.
normalize resources and not make it a one-off, like, oh, you want to show up? Like, okay, this is, set the expectation. And then here are the resources to help you do that. So,
Right.
what I'd love to see out of that type of project, Rob, is I'd love to see a resource guide that kind of comes with, here's some things that you should know. You're a co-survivor with your wife. Here's some things that you ought to think about. Here's some resources, here's some numbers you can call. Here's a worksheet for how to ask for help. Well, here's a
Mhm.
worksheet to track your whatever, your to-dos and your
Yeah,
priorities so that you can jot them down and see it. But I do think that we should look at it from that really strategic way of not just say, brother, I'm here for you, but I'm here for you. And here's the book that I wish somebody had gave me.
Mhm.
Right. And
right.
we
Right.
really should look at that.
Well,
Right.
we started a Facebook group a few years ago. The first time we did this show, and really no one really got into it too much, but it was called The Men's Touch.
Yes.
So if you go find it on Facebook, The Men's Touch, there's a group here. You guys can have a conversation, do whatever you want in this. I mean, I don't know if you want to do Facebook, but I mean, we did try to create that platform, but it's still not the same as doing some webinars like this or being on the farm. So we'll try to incorporate that into some of the work we're doing. I know, at Martha's Vineyard this summer, we're going to do a men's health day
Mhm.
and just talk about men's health and talk about, how to cope with everything that you have to deal with, whether it's,
Mhm.
maybe
we can resuscitate the men, like having, like maybe have, like, I mean, we have support groups for blesties, but maybe
we can have,
having,
we can do
yeah,
that.
maybe, yeah, like, hey,
Yeah.
Jermaine Curtis, y'all can be the co-host.
Yeah,
Y'all can be
I'm
the
the co-host.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got
Who
the
wants
job
the
already.
job?
Yeah,
Well, no,
hey,
y'all
could be the
could like
co-host.
rotate. You could rotate through, so not everybody has to feel the burden of the work.
Right, y'all can do,
Well,
yeah,
we can
exactly.
set that up and call it The Men's Touch. And
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that, because men always feel like, they have to be strong and, they can't show weakness and things like that. And I think it's important for them to know that they can feel, they're human too, and like Dr. Mo said, they're co-surviving. So, when you are silently trying to cry in the shower because you don't want your wife to know what's going on with you, but it's okay to feel that way. You have to know that you're human as well. And that, even though we're going through the chemo, you also need that mental health support as well.
Yeah.
And
Because
then support for, for him.
it's
Yeah.
okay for boys to cry. We tell
Right.
young boys that it's not okay for them to cry, but it's okay. We should not tell, because I don't even tell my grandson it's not okay to cry. Men should be able to cry. They have feelings too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they
Robin
can
and Sid. Robin and Sid.
Yes, yes, I'd like to say, well, first I'd like to say, I'm glad to see that all the ladies look well and they're still here, and I wish them many more years on this planet. And I wanted to also ask, what I really realized at one point is that when these ladies who are going through this situation are stress-free, they tend to heal better. And
Say that again.
yes. So I was wondering if the ladies felt like their husbands relieve a lot of stress on them, which help you to heal even better and quicker.
Yes.
I-
Did you
So
say?
I
Did
think
they
that's what
relieve stress?
I think that's what it's about, helping the ladies to move through the situation as stress-free as possible, because stress is not good for cancer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what
Point.
I think that's what initially caused my cancer is stress.
Mm.
Because I always tell everybody that song that I'm Every Woman, I can't stand that song because I do not want to be
Said I, not every woman. It's not all
after
in
my
me.
diagnosis with cancer. I'm like, I refuse to be every woman anymore because I had like 20 hats and I tired. And I always tell everybody now, my piece is non-negotiable.
Yeah.
I got that from Ricky.
Non-negotiable.
And I even like at home, I'm saying, I don't want to be the cook, the cleaner, all this. I want help.
Right.
I
Let
don't want
me
to be
ask y'all
stressed with this anymore. So being able to have a mate, a spouse that helps me with that relieves so much stress. So I try not to get stressed over anything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And with my
wondering,
situation being so similar to LaToya, I
Mhm.
think, I had a 1-year-old at the time, so going through that and trying to be super mom and not have him impacted. That I had a husband who was making sure, that not only was he taken care of so that I could go through the treatments, and good job. See, he's saying good job to him right now.
So there's a lot of folks watching who
Yeah.
don't have that loving relationship, who maybe got divorced, who might be in something toxic. And I wonder if you could talk to them almost along the lines of what you're saying, Sid. Like, what should they do if they're in a relationship that does not feel like this? It doesn't look like this. What advice do you have to them to either turn it around or recognize when it may be time to cut those ties? Like, talk to the people who are sitting there watching, like, well, I don't have that. I wish I had that, but I have, absentee husband who's always working and he thinks that he's doing the right thing for me, but he really isn't showing up for me. Give some advice to.
I would say communicate with them. Tell them what you really feel. Like, I have deep conversations with my husband, and sometimes I always tell him in a loving way, I'm not saying this to hurt you or harm you. I just want you to know how I feel, because if you don't know how I feel, we can't solve the issue. So let's have this conversation and try to resolve the issue. Now, if the issue is not going to be resolved, now I got to pray about it, and I may have to step away. Like Ricky said, it was her decision to step away because she knew at that time she had to leave. And you're going to have to make up that decision yourself. Is it time to stay or is it time to leave? Because at this point, I tell everybody in my life, and when Candace talk about young kids, listen, adult kids can be stressful too. You got 28 years old, 30 years old kids, that can be stressful too. It's not on no little baby. I'd rather have the babies than the adults. Because at least they can't talk back to you. The oldest one, they keep coming to you telling you, oh, I'm grown, but they don't want to listen to the advice. So listen, I'll take the kids any day.
I think it's about tapping into your self-preservation. I mean, it's like, listen, either I try to keep all my stress down and survive to see another day, or stay in a toxic relationship. And it doesn't even have to be just a relationship with, your love partner. I mean, even if it's friendships or whatnot, because there was a couple people that I had to stop talking to when I was going through my chemo treatment. You're not going to call me and lay your problems out on me. You're not going to talk to me that way. Do you know I just left radiation today? Do you know I have to go back to radiation tomorrow, every day this week? Like, so you have to become selfish when you're going through cancer. And then even post-cancer, I'm still selfish with who I lend my time to, because I don't want to go back into that stage, because I have 3 little girls who I'm not going to leave here young and motherless, and I don't want to leave my husband. So you have to tap into self-preservation. And if that means cutting off toxicities, it doesn't have to be cancer toxicities. It can be friendship and relationship type toxicities that you have to remove from your life in order to move forward in life.
Right. You have to constantly retill the soil. You have to constantly retill the soil. Constantly.
That's a very important
retill the soil.
Yeah.
That's a very important point that LaToya just made, because when people called the house, I used to tell them, we're not going to have the conversation about cancer. If you're going to, if you're going to talk to her, you can talk to her, but we're not talking about the cancer situation. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk like regular people. If not, then don't call.
And also not any drama, because what ends up happening is that everybody want to hear the story. And then what you end up doing is telling the story over and over. And you re-traumatizing yourself. And I distinctly remember my husband screened all phone calls that, please don't ask about the cancer. If you want to know something, ask me. Please don't tell about no drama that's going on in the family or what happened yesterday. We're not discussing any of that. And for the couple of years I was in treatment, I did not hear any drama. I was not asked about my cancer, and I could totally just focus on healing.
I tell everyone, if you wasn't coming around me to speak life into my life, stay away. I didn't
Mhm.
want anyone around me that wasn't going to speak life into me. I didn't want the crying. I didn't want the boo-hooing. I didn't
Exactly.
want the pity. I wanted everyone that came in, and those that couldn't do that, I had two sisters that stayed away from me for 2 years because they
Mhm.
couldn't deal with what I was going through. But I had
Yeah.
to learn that God had to separate them for that period in time because I needed to heal. And he gave me this whole big group of women that understood what I was going through. So I'm always thankful for that. But I said, you know what? Take a pause and say, if you're not speaking life, go the other way.
Yeah.
One thing that Candace did well was she had a lot of cleansing conversations. I think because when these difficult times, I always like to say it really enhances the faulty relationships. So the relationships may have already had a poor foundation anyway.
Right.
So these difficult times only makes it worse. And so she had a lot of cleansing conversations with those. Some went well and some didn't go so well. But you got this touch of your own mortality. You're like, I only have this much time left. I can't use this time to waste on bad relationships. So being able to cut people off and let them go and move towards people who are positive and speaking life over you, those are the relationships we really, really focused on.
Yep.
And I was the same way.
good
I'm
advice.
cutting everybody off. If you calling her, asking her about
Yeah.
cancer, you stop calling her about that. Ask her about something else. Let's talk about you. What is going on in your life?
That's love. I think that's a real declaration of what love looks like. It's when you are not only doing the things that you can do for that person, but you're helping to guard them against the things that are coming at them in the world, and you're shielding them from those things. That to me is a really important
That's
component.
love.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
we're
love.
not going to accept this. Here's the boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's these are the rules of engagement to talk to my wife.
But this is something that David said a lot, and I didn't really embrace it as much as he said, we're going through this process.
Right.
That I want you to remember that you are not the illness. And he said, these people who are coming around, you're not Candace with cancer. You are Candace, the person who you were before. You have the same dreams, desires. Yes, this thing is going on, but he was very, very big on, while we're going through this, let this not become our identity. And I think that's something that a partner does help with, but also to your point, Dr. Mo, like, look, you also have others in your community. If you don't have a husband that's amazing like ours, I did have those friendships or those other people who I could reach out to that were a part of my community who helped make me remember who I was. You know, David was doing that for me, but I had other core friendships where they said, no, you're still you. You know, you don't have to embrace this as your identity, because that can get overwhelming. If you're like, this is all it's ever going to be. I'm like, this is a part of it. This is a part of it, but that's not it.
That's the whole thing. And for new caregivers, man, there's no, like, when we've come into this, it's like trial by fire, right? So it's important that we get this information out there because, man, some days I could say something to LaToya and it's fine. Next day, I say the same thing, and she ready to go grab a pistol.
That's my sister.
It's kind of so, you know what I mean. So it's just because when you're dealing with that, when you're faced with mortality in your face, you run a gamut of emotions.
Yes.
So you just learn from daily. You're like, well, I can't say that today. I got to be careful. You know what I mean? So as a new caregiver, you want your spouse or you want your loved one to heal and to be better, but we don't have a handbook for this, right? So I think it's important that we get this information out and let the other caregivers know, man, look, it's okay. They're gonna have their days, their good and their bad, their ups and their downs. But always remember, it's like they're looking at their mortality. When they feel like someone is playing with that clock, then it could mess with your mind adversely, right? So we have to have that understanding, man. And it's a daily struggle, you know, to be able to, it's a fine line to try to navigate those things where you don't want to add stress. You just want to help. Oh, it's going to be okay, baby. Well, how you know it's going to be okay?
I
You know what I mean?
think
So,
that
you know, it's a, you know.
I think one of the very most special things that my husband did for me was when I went in the shower one day and my hair was coming out, and I already had my double mastectomy, and I have a mirror that I used to run past in my bathroom. I would never look in it. I didn't want to look at myself because I didn't like the way I looked, my body image as a woman. I didn't like to look in the mirror anymore. And that day he held me behind my back, and I get emotional when I think about it. When he held me and he told me that, and he made me take off my top, and he made me look at myself, bald head and everything, and said that you're still beautiful. You know, that your breasts and everything in your head never define who you are. Because I didn't marry you. I married you because I love you. And that was such a eye opener for me, because it wasn't about, can we make love tonight, or can we do this tonight? Or he wasn't concerned about I was more concerned about my body image than he was. And when that clicked, then I was able to deal with this cancer diagnosis even more stronger than I was.
Yeah, because I was at a point where I couldn't allow her to lose herself.
Yeah, right.
I couldn't allow that. I couldn't allow that. You know what? Things are happening in our lives right now, but that doesn't change the love that I have for you.
Right.
I'm here through everything. That's what I signed up for, and I'm gonna be there. Don't worry about this. When my wife had locks and they went down her back, when her hair started falling out, I got my clippers. I shaved her head.
Same thing here, brother.
I shaved her head.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're going through this together.
Right. That's right.
You know what? I'm thankful that you know, as caregivers, that we can sit here and talk about this and express it, and we should get a panel or something together so that we can help others, because a lot of the times we went through this by ourselves.
Right.
We're going to work on that.
But what I will say, I have to be thankful for Ricky and Dr. Mo, because once she went to Philadelphia to go to the convention, everything changed, because now she saw that she wasn't in it alone.
Right.
Once that happened, it changed everything for us, because
for the better, right?
And yes, for the better. And not only that, you know what? When we talk about friends and family, see, at that time, you got to make your inner circle small. You can't have just anybody around you, see. And my thought was, you know what? It's me and my wife against the world. So we'll take care of what we got to take care of.
Bring it.
You know, I have something, a similar story in that when I lost my hair, which I knew I was going to lose my hair, but I lost my eyelashes and eyebrows and all of my hair. And so one day I was sitting and looking at myself, and I felt like an alien. You know, I'm sitting there with this bald head, no eyelashes, no eyebrows, and my husband wasn't home. And I just kept saying, look how ugly you are. You're ugly. You're ugly. And so I wanted him to verify that I was ugly. So what I did was I took a black eyebrow pencil, and I drew two gigantic humps over my eyes. And I mean, they were hideous. And I sat on the bed and I waited for him to come home, because I just wanted him to say, oh my God, you are so ugly. And I sat there, and when he came in the room and he saw me, and he went, and I said, what? And he said, no, I just remembered I forgot something. I said, yeah, right. And he left, and he walked out the door. And I said, yeah, he couldn't say it. He couldn't say how ugly I was. Well, on his way out the door, he took a picture of me and went over to the beauty supply house and asked the little young girl, this is a picture of my wife. Can you teach me how to make eyebrows? And the woman sat there and let him practice, and he learned how to make eyebrows. And then he came back and he said, now let's draw you some appropriate eyebrows. But The thing is not getting frustrated by the situation and also keeping humor. Find stuff to laugh about.
Right.
Don't let the cancer suck your joy.
Right.
Have a reason to laugh. Even sometimes I walk around with my bald head and big earrings and say I was Zara from another planet, here to observe you, you know, just to keep it fun. You got to keep it fun. You got to keep the laughter in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So Dan Rashima, we were on Eastern time. Sorry.
You on mute.
I figured that out after the fact, Ricky, but listen, I couldn't have gotten here any earlier anyway because I was on with a client
And I was working.
and she
So
was
tell
at
your
work.
story.
So,
Tell your story.
but listen, I just wanted to speak to what Valerie and Robin were saying, that the right person, right? The right person for you will not only see the beauty in your scars, in your bald head, and your everything, but they will help you see it too. So I love what Robin said. Robin, I don't know which one is Robin and Sydney, but I love what she said about about him saying, I'm gonna go learn how to draw these eyebrows on my wife. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
And then Miss Valerie, like, love these stories, y'all. Okay, baby, you can talk.
This is Dan Rashima.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. So I just celebrated, I'm coming on celebrating 17 years of cancer remission, y'all.
Man.
So I celebrated last week.
Yeah.
And Rashima, my wife, was my caregiver when I was going through treatment. We weren't married then, but she was my caregiver. And y'all, it was so funny because we got into an argument one time, right? While I was going through treatment. And I was like, get out of my house, and this and the third. And she went to her own place. And then she said, but I'm coming back to change your bandages. Like, man, y'all, like, you really have to have, I love these stories, and I love that we've all found people to love us through it. Yeah. Right? Like, Rashima and we started out as friends. We were friends when I was going through treatment, and we were having arguments because I was in love with this woman, but I couldn't tell anybody. I couldn't tell myself. I couldn't tell my mama. So I was just going through a lot emotionally while I was going through this journey of breast cancer, right? And one of the things that I say about breast cancer is it has a lot to do with our mental and emotional well-being, right? And what we're going through personally in our lives. I know we're living in toxic times, right? The foods that we eat, the air that we're breathing, the stuff we're putting on our body. But I believe a lot of it has to do with, I tell people all the time, I stressed myself sick. Stressed myself sick because I was in love with this woman and couldn't tell nobody, not even myself.
You were married to another person.
I was married to a wonderful man. Wasn't nothing wrong with him. Wasn't nothing wrong with me. The shoe just didn't fit. I felt like, what's the cartoon? Cinderella. The shoe didn't fit. The shoe just didn't fit. And it took breast cancer the second time, right? I'm a 2-time survivor. And it was during my second diagnosis that my nurse said to me, you know what, Dee, you got to reduce the stress in your life. Y'all, it struck me like a bolt of lightning because I had never made the connection between stress and what it was doing to my body, right? It was like the light bulb came on, and I was like, you know what? I can't keep living this way. I have to live in my truth, and I have to do it regardless of how it's going to affect, because I was concerned about my mama. I was concerned about my kids. I was concerned about hurting my then husband. I was scared, right? I was terrified. But when she said to me, you need to reduce the stress in your life, it gave me the courage to finally live in my truth. And now I'm 17 years in remission.
Amen.
And happy. And happy.
And happy. And happy. I'm so happy.
Lady is one of the best things to ever happen to me. Like,
You gotta say that. You married to me.
I never said I'm over here like this. You got it.
I always say stress. I always said it was stress that caused my cancer.
Oh, all the way,
Yes.
straight, all the way
Oh,
straight,
everybody.
Always say
all the way
stress.
straight, all the way straight. Always
You know,
straight.
I wanted to tell you another advocate story that is really kind of key because you have to have a caregiver that's relentless. So one day, Sid came home and I was just sick as a dog. I mean, I was standing across the bed and he's like, "What is the matter?" And I said, I can't get myself together today. He was like, "Where are those pills?" I said, "Well, I don't have any more." And they said that they won't give me no more until next month. He said, "They won't give me no more." I said, "No." He said, "Give me the bottle." I said, "Sid, I can't get no more of those pills." He said, "All right." So he went down to Jefferson's pharmacy, stood in line, a very nice lady. He says, "Hello, what's your name?" "Yeah, I'd like to refill these pills." So she looked at the bottle and she said, "I'm sorry, sir, but you can't get these pills referred till next month." And he said, "I understand that, but she ain't sick next month. She's sick now." She said, "Well, sir, it's nothing we could do. We can't refill these pills." So he said, "Okay, so I'll tell you what." He said, "I want you to do me a favor." He said, "I want you to go in the back and get the head pharmacist." He said, "But why you back there?" He said, "Dial 911 because I'm about to tear this place up." So she runs back and she gets the head pharmacist and this big guy, white guy, and he comes running out and he says, like he don't know what's going on. He says, "Yes, sir, can I help you?" He said, "Hi, what's your name?" "John." "Sid." He said, "I'd like to get this refilled for my wife." And he looked at it and he says, "Well, she was kind of right. You can't get any pills like this again till next month." He said, "I understand that." He said, "But my wife is not sick next month. She's sick now." And he said, "If you think that I am going to go back home and look at her sick when I know the stuff that makes her feel better is in here," he said, "I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell you like I told her. Dial 911 because y'all going to have to carry me out of here today." And so now everybody in the pharmacy is waiting for a fight. You know, how people get fight, 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 fight. And the pharmacist took him over to the side. And I don't know what they said, but he came home with the pills.
With some pills.
And
He came up with some
We
pills.
became friends.
yeah, and him and the pharmacist became friends. And they did because the pharmacist said to him, "I have never seen a man willing to go toe to toe for his wife like that." He said, "I can't have nothing but respect for you. And from now on, don't get in line. Come to me, and I'll make sure your wife has all of the pills that she needs."
Amen.
That's right. Amen. Amen.
I
Where
love
the
these
red
stories so
shots
much.
be?
Candace, tell us about your book before we go.
Yeah.
Candace took all of this and channeled it into an amazing book.
I did. A lot of the stuff we talked about tonight, some of those toxic friendships, things that people say that they really don't need to say. I wrote a book called My Suck Doesn't Need Your Silver Lining. Getting through
Say
life's
that
tough.
again. My suck
My
doesn't
suck doesn't need your silver lining. Getting through life's tough stuff from someone who gets it. So sucky times happen to a lot of people, and it's not just cancer, but for us it was. And most people put their foot in their mouths. They don't know what to say, and going through it, there's a lot of analogies or statements that are made early on. You're in a tunnel, you're going to get through it, but nobody tells you how to do it. So I created the guide that I wish I had, that was for myself and those who are in our communities, to show us how to show up for us and how we can show up for ourselves. So 10% of all the proceeds of the book go to Touch, Black Breast Cancer Alliance with Ricky. And it's been great because, as we know, we need more funding for things that react differently to us, but we also need to know how to speak back and how to tell people how to shut up, show up, and stay.
Right.
when we need them the most. So, and it's
Okay.
ironic. Yeah.
So Candace, I think you got another book right here, dude.
Yeah. Well, what's
Yeah.
exciting is
I think you got another book. I think you got to write chapter. think you got the next edition.
well, what's interesting is Dave is already right. I was laughing because he's almost finished with it, and he was coming from the
Yeah.
caregiver perspective.
Almost finished with the caregiver's guide to her book.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
because-
it. I love it.
Because there's so many things that we weren't told. Everyone has said it, and we don't have a companion's guide. No one thinks about the companion. No one thinks about the caregiver. No one thinks about that one. They always talk to the patient and never to the person helping. So putting that together, writing it, I'm almost finished, and it's going to be.
I told him he had to do it. I said, look,
Yeah.
we need this. We need both sides, and especially as someone who was younger, kind of going through it. One of the challenges was I had to accept mine was a hormone positive breast cancer. I had to accept the loss of my fertility and things very early. And that's a whole nother conversation and things that people, again, still don't know what to say. People make
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
have another one.
We're going to do that show. We're going to do that show in May, okay?
Good.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
people, again, just if you
Yeah.
don't know what to say, it's okay to be quiet.
How about that? Just shush, right?
It's good.
Right.
Say less. Say less. So
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
we
so
hope
you
this
can find it
sparks some
anywhere.
conversations, right? In your family, in your household, in your marriage, or partnership, situationship, whatever ship you got going on. We hope everybody's in the same ship and headed toward wellness. I love this episode because it gives people so much hope. You don't realize
Oh.
that while nothing is perfect, it should look like and feel like you all are partners in the struggle together.
Yeah.
So
Love is
that-
perfect. All love is perfect.
that's my hope, right? For everybody, Ricky, So thank you all for watching. What are we doing next week? What's our topic? Do you know?
Next week, we're doing sex therapy, Mo.
Oh, see, it's getting even spicier. So if you
I
thought
found
it
a
was
sex
tonight,
therapist. I met her at Tata Tuesdays fundraiser, and she's
Mhm.
amazing. So sex therapy, it's kind of a love month. February's going to be our love
Right.
month with lots of love topics. So, we are ready to talk about love. And thank you for kicking it off with us at the last Wednesday in January. And
way over.
love month a little early.
Mhm.
That's
Thanks
right.
for coming on, Rashima and Dee. We have you guys just spurred so many episodes in my head. Mo and I
Yeah.
sit here all the time thinking, what are we gonna do? Like, it's all here. You guys always bring it. So thank you for this.
Good.
Thank you for doing with us. Thank you, Black Doctor, for the platform, and Mo, do your line, babe.
Yeah, we hope it's been relatable and reliable and real. That's what we do every Wednesday night here on Black Doctor. And we are so grateful to you and for all of you for showing up, giving this sage advice and for loving up on each other the way you do
Yeah.
and showing how it should be done. So we'll see y'all next Wednesday night.
See you next week. Blessed love.
Versus,
right.
thank you guys for inviting us.
Love y'all.
Good to meet everybody.
Jermaine, kiss the baby.
Jermaine,
We
take
get our
care.
group photo, Ricky. Did you get the group photo?